Layoffs suck. I should know because I got laid off from my six-figure job recently, but what sucks more is how I reacted after mine. I made some decisions that cost me some serious time, energy, and money. I basically made 4 massive stupid mistakes, and here's what I wish I'd done differently. I saw some of my friends who got laid off with me who start cold applying on job portals, and I think this is what most people do. This, at the end of the day, is a numbers game. Of course, I updated my resume perfectly for each role along with the cover letter as well, and I was applying like crazy every day. But very quickly I realized it just doesn't work, or at least the payoff is far nominal compared to the effort you put in. So just 2 weeks after cold applying, I completely stopped applying on portals. And instead, I did something else that worked wonders. But before we get into that, let's talk about mistake number 2. I didn't network enough with people in the product space prior to the layoff. I should first give you some context that I was a product manager and I got laid off as a PM, and so I should have been networking and connecting with people on LinkedIn who are in the product space here in North America, and not trying to build that bond of connections after shit hits the fan. Like, most of these roles are fulfilled through referrals and networking here. So I regret not having done this earlier. And so yeah, these are 2 regrets or 2 big mistakes I made. And so to circumvent that, I very quickly started networking, reaching out to people in the hiring teams or adjacent teams of companies that were already hiring. And since I wanted a role in product, I started networking and connecting with people in the product teams, set up coffee chats, understood more about the company culture and the product teams. And my intent with networking here wasn't just to simply say, hey, I see this awesome opening, I bring a lot of experience to the table, and I think I'm a great fit. Will you refer me or just consider me for the role? But instead, what I started doing was just having genuine conversations with these people, right? Trying to really peel back the layers of what the culture is at these companies, understanding how they operate on a day-to-day basis, look for red flags within the company. And now, since I had already the attention and the buy-in from the person I was talking to, referrals and introductions became a massive deal. And I think this is what resulted in me getting shortlisted for numerous interviews where I already had a leg up on most of the other candidates because the interviewer already had a fair idea of my background because a colleague put in a word on my behalf. And this is almost approaching it from a sales mentality, right? Where you're reaching out to someone, trying to strike up a conversation, and like some of my friends who have tried their best to set up virtual coffee chats end up just, doing basic shallow talk and not really talk about what they wanted to uncover or discover through the conversation. And so before going into the conversation, I had my bullet points, and so I had to kind of frame or direct the conversation in a way that 1, I would understand more about the company, 2, I'd get to know more about the role, but more importantly, they would kind of also get to understand what I bring to the table. So then referrals and introductions became like my big reason why I landed these interviews. And actually, these quality interviews is what landed me 2 high-paying job offers, both of them about 200K. But I didn't accept either because of a few different reasons. One of them being, I didn't give myself enough time and let the news sink in. Like, right after I got laid off, I jumped into looking for a job the very next day. Like, being someone who's super driven and ambitious, I took the layoff very personally and wanted to prove to the world that I can easily land a role. It's almost like I had a vendetta or like some sort of vengeance to prove to the world or someone in particular that I can indeed land a high-paying role. I was spending numerous number of hours every day networking, DMing, cold applying, like I said initially, sending out emails, setting up meetings, interviewing, behavioral interviews, technical interviews, etc. And so not a second I spent letting or allowing the news to really sink in, I think. Again, in hindsight, maybe if I just sat down, thought through this whole piece and just ask myself personally, what is it that I'm expecting from this and what's the smartest way to go about it, would have actually saved me a shit ton of time. In my head, I was just trying my best to not disrupt the status quo of me having a job or not disrupting the status quo of me getting paid because I had a severance that came with the layoff. And so my aim was, how can I quickly get a job where I'm also going to get paid and I also have a severance? And it was a mess. And I have no idea where this came from and why I was trying to prove this. It's super funny because the job I got laid off from was also a fairly high-paying job itself. So technically I had proven myself and gotten the role in the first place, and I worked there for a few years. Like, I really wasn't unsure why I was doing this. I think it was just the effect of getting laid off and the repercussions of it, I guess. Like, I should have really stopped, assessed, and thought through my situation, because my situation was a little different from most other people who got laid off, since I already had a business I could rely on, which I should have really focused on scaling, which is a good segue into I should have actually spent all that time growing my media house instead. Like, I spent hours and days and weeks networking, reaching out, crafting my resume, preparing for numerous rounds with numerous people in the company. And the 2 roles I landed required me to go through 6 rounds of interviews. 6 rounds. That's freaking crazy. And not just that, these rounds were spaced across weeks. And in my head, I was thinking, like, why am I jumping through so many hoops? If I had spent half the amount of time to land or nurture a few clients for my media house, I'd end up earning as much, if not more. And what's crazier is that I've been preaching about this for the longest time, right? Like, have a second income for exactly these situations. I followed all that and I had a second source of income, which of course needed some nurturing and outreach to really get back to my, salary status quo or my pay status quo. But here I was, scared to go all in. Like, so stupid. And I think that's the biggest mistake I made out of the lot. It may not be relatable to you, but the point I'm trying to make is jobs are safe, right? Like, we know we're going to get paid every 2 weeks or every month. And so it kind of leads to a life of comfort. For the last few years, I've been working on my day job and it was great. I was getting paid, and comfort is like a sneaky motherfucker. It gets you when you least expect it. And even though I had some income coming from my media house, I was just so scared to go all in. Like, in this case, I spent about 2.5 to about 3 months with the vengeance to prove to the world that I could land a job. And you know what? I did. But at the end of it, I didn't feel that great though. And it's probably because I didn't spend enough time allowing the news to digest and thinking through my situation. I really wish I'd done that. I probably should have taken a few days off and just sat with that, maybe journaled a little bit, thought through this, introspected before I decided on, taking the next action or whatever that was. And with some of these companies and interviews, they were literally making me jump through hoops. Like, for instance, there was, I think, like 4 rounds of interviews, 1 hour each in a single day. And I wasn't done with that company. I had to sit for 2 more rounds the next day. And I'm just thinking, why do I have to spend 6 hours over 2 days for someone to get to know me, where I'm meeting the head of design, I'm meeting the head of tech, I'm meeting the head of marketing. I'm like, why am I going through all of this? And I, being an entrepreneur, had taken my eye off the ball. Like, I should have been growing my media house more aggressively while I was at my day job, but I didn't. Because now I had to figure out a way to make more money than what I would make from taking on any full-time job. And so instead, I wish I hadn't squandered all that time and focused on growing my business, because like I mentioned in one of my previous videos, I knew getting a job was just a stepping stone to eventually going all in on my business. And once I gained that clarity that I'm not going to be interviewing for another role, or I'm not going to go back to a day job, things really changed for me. Like, 2 months of spending time and effort landing clients, and I'm happy to say that I'm pretty much back on track. Like, there's no point crying over spilt milk, I know, but I really wish I could tell my past self to not waste 2 to 3 months looking for a job when I could have just focused on my business. In the initial days of networking and interviewing, I remember I had my eye on 2 or 3 companies where I really badly wanted to work, but luckily they ghosted me or the role got shelved. Thank freaking God. Because if they did offer me the role, I would have 100% taken it at that point. And so yeah, I'm super grateful that I have my business to fall back on and to rely on as my bread and butter. And this isn't something I take for granted. I should also say that I had this option only because I've been working on this business for so long now and over-delivering for all of our clients. Like, even when I had my full-time day job, I continued doing that. And I know most people wouldn't have this option, because the honest to God truth is people don't care enough about this kind of stuff. This is how most people look at it. It's not a now problem, it's my future problem. And so we'll deal with it when that time comes. But like I said in detail in my previous video, the world is changing. The way most people work and operate in the next decade or 2 is going to change drastically. So it's imperative, in my opinion, that you have a side income or a business or real estate property that provides you with a second income. It's not easy to do. It's not that straightforward. It takes a lot of grit, a lot of hard work, long days. But as you can see in my situation, It's completely worth it. And I'm just super grateful that I have an alternative option I can count on. And so if this resonated with you, then I put together something that could help you pursue that side income or business venture. 15 things you need to do to build a profitable and scalable business even while working full-time. It's not the usual fluff. These are things most people don't talk about, the stuff that actually moves the needle, a mix of psychology, strategy, habits, and real tactics that I've personally used across all the businesses I've built. You'll get it straight to your inbox, completely free, one day at a time. And if it's not useful, you can unsubscribe anytime, no hard feelings. But it's worth exploring just knowing the world we live in right now with layoffs and whatnot. Just hit the first link in the description if you want to check it out. Anyway, now I'm fully focused on growing my ventures, especially Unimedia, and I couldn't have been happier. I just wish that I'd started focusing on this sooner, but it's never too late, I guess, right? Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.